This is a female Gingko tree. It's a tree from Japan and China, obviously growing naturally only in East Asia. Actually, not until not long ago, we didn't know its native localities, but now it was found growing in some forests in southeast China. But it's associated more with Japan, with temples. It's a dioecious tree. It has both male and female plants. Very characteristic leaves, like a fan. The leaves can be used for herbal teas. It's a living fossil. It barely survived. It's related to conifers, and it's got these amazing seeds which are inside these fleshy things that are surrounding them, and they stink horribly. They stink. The actual flesh stinks of butyric acid like old butter, but inside there is a really nice seed which is really nutritious.
And a word of warning, ginkgo seeds contain toxins, especially ginkgo toxin. It's a 4-methylpyridoxine, which is a neurotoxin, an antivitamin related to vitamin B6. So it is recommended you don't eat more than 10 seeds per day, because there was a case of severe poisoning after eating 10 seeds, although some sources say you can eat even 30 seeds. And I once ate 20 and had no symptoms. So the usual symptoms are loss of consciousness and seizures, which can lead even to epilepsy. It is recommended to cook the seeds. I boil them for 15 minutes. The ginkgo toxin is thermostable, so it doesn't really help much, but you can remove maybe other toxins, and maybe some of the toxin dissolves. So please be very careful, especially with giving the seeds to children. There is also data showing that ginkgo is slightly carcinogenic, but with the small amount of seeds or leaves which are used for herbal teas, it's not really a major concern. Also, the level of ginkgo toxin in leaves used for herbal teas is so low that I wouldn't worry at all. It's only the concern about consuming seeds. Ginkgo seeds are very nutritious. They contain mainly starch, but also about 20% of protein and some fat.
And it brings me to the question, what is wild food? What is foraging? This term, very common in Britain, not so common in America, means providing food for yourself, gathering food. So what happens if someone planted this tree not knowing it is used for food, or maybe not designing it to be used for food, but you come to a city and you collect it? Is it foraging? Yes. Is it a wild thing? It's very complicated to say. In many parts of the world we have these old agricultural systems when something which is cultivated is intertwined with something which is wild. In many places in Europe we have mulberries and walnuts and hazelnuts which are self-sown from plantations, but they are wild. They just they self-reproduce. So there is a continuum between plants which are completely wild, which are not tended, through plants which are tended. For example, people like this wild plant and they help it. I don't know, for example, there is a wild cherry in the forest and the owner cuts down trees around it to give it more space. But also there can be plants that were planted in a different purpose, in a purpose for ornament, and they can be used as food. So the issue, what is wild and what is not wild, is very complicated. I also found it extremely difficult to decide if the plant is cultivated or not in Southeastern Asia. When I did research on markets in Laos. Many of the plants there were kind of, growing in the city or in the suburbs, and kind of, if you ask people if they are wild or not, they wouldn't be sure. Maybe someone planted them, maybe they sold themselves. People just tolerate them. So I don't think we should pay attention to if it's wild or not. If it's good, just gather. Just enjoy this thrill of finding something, of collecting something, bending your back, crouching in the wind and finding your treasure like I found today.